I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah.
What is up, guys, and welcome to the Disrupt the Industry podcast. I'm your host, Dre, and today we're going to be talking about a phrase I hear way too much when I get on calls with potential clients, and I think that phrase is, bro, I know how to train, and I'm here to tell you that you truly don't. And basically what I want to do today is break down what I believe proper training is, right? So again, I hear it so many times. So many people either come up to me in the gym, DM me on Instagram, or like I said in the beginning of the podcast a couple seconds ago, people will just love to tell me on these calls that they know how to train. And my immediate thought when people tell me that they know how to train is, no, you do not. So what we're going to talk about today is Dre's top 4 mistakes when it comes to training properly. So let's get into it. The first mistake when it comes to not training properly is not training to failure. Okay. Now, I know what you're thinking right now. You're like, oh, well, I mean, I train to failure, so this doesn't apply to me. Let's talk about it, right? So what is training to failure, right? There is a definition of training to muscle failure, right? Muscular failure, right? This is failure without form or technique breakdown, okay? And when it comes to training to failure, guys, what you need to understand is you reach your failure threshold when your concentric portion of the movement starts to slow down. Now, let me explain this. The eccentric portion of the movement, right, is when you lower the weight. So if you're lowering the weight on a bench press or you're lowering the weight on a dumbbell curl, that's the eccentric part of the movement, right? So the concentric part of the movement, right, is when you press that bench press weight up or you press that barbell up or you curl that weight up. That's the concentric portion of the movement, right? Now, I see a lot of people who go to failure on what's going to be their bench press, and I see a lot of people going to failure on their squats and their deadlifts, but they're not going to failure on their lat pull downs. You're not going to failure on your quad extensions, your hamstring curls. You're not going to failure on your bicep curls. That's the truth, guys, okay? You're not going to failure on your bicep curls, your tricep extensions. And let me just say this, right? Just because it starts to burn does not mean you're actually training to failure, right? Failure is a threshold, right? Your concentric can start to slow down, and that's when you start to reach the failure threshold. So let's say you're doing a dumbbell curl. When your dumbbell curl starts to slow down, that's when you're starting to reach into the failure threshold, right? But that doesn't mean your muscle is 100% failing, right? Failure is when you literally cannot do another rep without like an extreme form or technique breakdown. So that's going to be the first mistake I see of 4 when it comes to training is people not training to muscular failure. Number 2, okay, is not controlling your negative and not having proper tempos and pauses, right? Which is the same thing as a negative, okay? But guys, how many Instagram bros, TikTok influencers do you see who are lifting that weight fast? They're going crazy. They're benching really fast, or they're curling really fast, or they're doing lat pull downs really fast, you know? It's a whole thing, right? Wrong, okay? When it comes to a tempo, right, you need to have control, okay? The best way I can describe how to execute a tempo is to have a 3 to 4 second eccentric or negative portion of the movement, which means like the lowering of the weight. And then I want you to explode up on your concentric as controlled as possible, right? So we're doing a controlled explosion on the way up. And basically, you know, when you do a chest press, you don't want to lower it down for 3 to 4 seconds and then just do like a crazy press on the way up when you literally lose all tightness in your shoulders and your lats and you're trying to just get the weight from point A to point B. We don't really want that, right? What we want is, again, we're having a 3 to 4 second negative or eccentric being controlled on the way down of each rep, and then we're going to explode up in the most controlled way possible, trying to get the best mind muscle connection possible while still being explosive, guys. Again, the best way I can describe it is explosive but controlled. So as explosive as you can, but in a controlled manner. That pretty much sums up breaking down, controlling your eccentrics and your pauses. Mistake number 3, guys, is not performing the correct technique. Guys, you cannot just get on the bench and start pressing dumbbells. You have to have certain technique cues. For example, chest being the highest portion of your body. arms at 45 degrees and not 90 degrees, coming down and touching your chest and getting a full range of motion. Guys, you need to be executing each rep correctly. Let's just take the dumbbell press because that's what we were just talking about, right? I see so many people with arms flared out on their dumbbell press to 90 degrees, a lot of rotator cuff impingement, not tucked at 45 degrees, right? I see a ton of what's going to be half repping with dumbbells. Guys, the whole point of a dumbbell press is to get a deeper range of motion, right? So that's going to be huge right there. Do not slack on the technique, right? Again, and then you're gonna press up, and I see a lot of people try to touch the dumbbells together at the top when you don't need to do that. You need to just press them straight up and down, making sure your elbow joint is stacked with your wrist joint, guys. That's a huge thing right there. So again, make sure you're performing the proper technique on each movement you do. It's the same thing with a curl, a leg extension, a squat. You cannot just start doing these exercises. A big one's a squat. Guys, if you're doing a squat for quad development, you need to make sure you're getting as much knee flexion as possible, meaning you want your calves to touch your hamstrings and you want to push your knees over your toes as much as possible without hurting yourself, right? That's a big thing, guys. You need to make sure you're lifting each movement with the proper technique, okay? And guys, the fourth and final mistake I see when it comes to training is not hitting progressive overload. We talked a lot about training to failure in our first point, but guys, I see so many people try to train to failure and hit progressive overload on what's going to be your squat, your bench, your deadlift, but they don't do that on the curls, on their barbell curls, or their dumbbell curls, I should say. They're literally just grabbing 20s and pump chasing and trying to feel a burn, or they're just doing sets of 20 on the tricep extension. Guys, that's not how you train. You need to treat your bench press the same as your barbell curls, the same as your dumbbell curls, the same as your lat pull downs, the same as your bicep curls, right? Again, every movement should be treated with intent. Every movement should be trained to failure with the intent of hitting progressive overload. And progressive overload, guys, is just the act of getting stronger, right? And you can get stronger in a couple ways, right? And I'm just going to give you the dynamic progression method that I use, right? The double dynamic progression method, it's called. So you have a top set and a back off set. So say you have a top set of 6 to 9 reps. Basically, you're going to come in the gym and work up to a 6 rep max with a given weight, right? Say you're on the bench press and you have 135 pounds on the bench press, and that is your 6 rep max. You cannot do any more reps besides 6 reps on that 6 rep max, right? That's week 1 of your program. Week 2 of your program, you come in and you do 135 pounds for 7 reps, right? That's 1 extra rep than last week. And then week 3, you come into your program and do 135 pounds for 8 reps. That's 1 extra rep than last week. And then week 4 of your program, you come in and you do 135 pounds for 9 reps or even 10 reps, right? So you went from 6 to 9 reps, from the bottom of your rep range to the top of your rep range. And then all you're going to do is you're going to bump the weight up, and you're going to start that process over. So you're going to go to 140 pounds or 145 pounds and do that for 6 reps. And then the week after that, try to do 145 pounds for 7 reps. And then what you're going to do, that's what I call your top set, right? That's your heavy set of 6 to 9 reps. Then you're going to drop the weight significantly and do a back down set. And this can be anywhere from 12 to 15 reps, 15 to 20 reps, even 17 to 22 reps. And it's going to be the same principle, right? You come into the gym, 135 pounds on the bar. You do that for 15 reps. The next week, you do it for 16 reps. The next week you do it for 17 reps until you get to 20 reps, and then you bump the weight up and start that process over. Guys, that's hitting progressive overload. That's called getting stronger. You need to be getting stronger on every single set you do. It is a non-negotiable. Every single set you do in the gym should be a PR. You should be PRing, which PR stands for personal record. You should be hitting a personal record every single time you step foot in the gym, okay? For every single set that you do. And that's why when I hear people say, oh, bro, like, I know how to train. Like the other week, a kid gets on call with me. He's like, oh, bro, like, I know how to train. Listen, did you just do all those 4 things that I listed out? I would bet a lot of money that you're not, right? And it's not that guy's fault, right? But at the same time, and it's not just that guy. I get this all the time, right? But at the same time, this is how you train, okay? Those are 4 mistakes that I see everybody make when it comes to training. So, guys, I hope this helped you, okay? I want you to like this video, comment what the most helpful tip was. I want you to subscribe to the channel. But thank you guys so much. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next one.